that you guys will see. I'm just going to stress again, everyone's going to raise their hand, you know the answer, but what's the very first thing we do when we come up on scene? We all know, right?
Breathing. See if they're breathing.
See if they're breathing? Well, check for what? Check the area. Scene safety, right? Right? We need to be able to help. All right, yes.
Check the area.
Scene safety, okay? That's the
Safety
very first
first.
thing. Safety first. You're getting right there when it comes to CPR.
Oh, I know
so,
CPR already.
Yeah, good.
Nose and mouth and all that.
Perfect.
Why were you trained?
Vet tech,
Oh,
25 years.
okay.
Well, I took a class 30 years ago.
You did?
Things have changed probably, or
Maybe
no?
a little.
It's about the same.
30 years ago.
Little bit
It has
different.
changed. It changes every 5 years. They do the
Oh,
updates
okay.
with the research. So it has changed. We
Yeah.
have another change coming in December of 2015. There'll be a guideline update.
Well, the first thing they said was check to see if they're breathing. And he's
We gotta
not.
check the area, make sure, and then you check
Yeah,
going,
they
you
didn't
see if
tell
they're
us to
breathing or
check
not.
the area.
Well, you wanna make sure that, you
It
know.
might have been different. So for a layperson class, if you're out in the community, right? Like those people in Texas that are looking for that cobra.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
What?
So a guy had a pet cobra. I just saw it on the news this morning. He had a pet cobra and it was in his car with him. They're very aggressive. And they found 2 puncture wounds in him and found him unresponsive and dead. And then they had to put a warning out for the cobra, for people to watch for the cobra. Yeah, so that, yeah. But I think they initially weren't sure what had happened to him. He was a young man. I don't know if he was maybe 20, I mean, if that.
Very young.
Very young.
Yeah.
And had a pet cobra, so it might have all worked out like it was supposed to. I don't know. Poor guy.
Moral of the story is don't
Yeah.
get a cobra.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Don't
scene
open the door.
safety, right? That you don't know what you're walking into. So if you were in a layperson class, we emphasize fire, natural gas, scene safety being that what happened to them happen to me too. Am I going to get hit by another car if I stop to help somebody? Right, that happened in Jefferson County, where the sheriff was. One of their deputies was killed helping somebody on the side of the road. It was very, very recent, and
They left
so
all that out.
that you've got to watch all of the scene safety for thinking around you. If you were in hospital taking a class, we don't push it that much in the medical piece of it, right? Because you know that you are in hospital with a code team, that you have a rapid response team, you can hit a button and too many people come to help you, right? That you call for help and then you're kicking people out of the room. There are 20 and 30 people at a time that come to help. But regardless of if you are pre-hospital or in hospital, hopefully they're bringing an AED or the monitor, the defibrillator, so that way we can at least get somebody shocked and get them back to a normal heart rhythm. For the education piece of it, I was thinking about statistics. So statistically, out-of-hospital survival rate is 4 to 13% from cardiac arrest. So it's a pretty grim percentage regardless, right? So if you are the only person to help them, you're the only person standing between them and death, you've got to give it your all, right? You've got to do the best that you can. State of Washington, they have a 60 to 70% survival rate for their out-of-hospital cardiac arrest because it's mandatory for all of their kids to graduate high school. They're certified in CPR.
Wow. That's cool.
Right? So there's more what we call bystander CPR. And we were kind of laughing earlier about how nobody ever wants to put your mouth on anybody else's mouth that you don't know. There's vomit involved in this. If there's trauma or car accidents involved, there's blood, there's body fluids. And of course, the #1 rule in any medical field, right? If it's wet and it's not yours, you don't touch it. Yeah. Stay far away. And that we were talking really about you have to have your personal protective equipment. Safety for the rescuer first, that includes protecting yourself from disease, right? So we are worried about hepatitis, we're worried about tuberculosis, which is airborne. We're worried about things that you can get that you can't get rid of, AIDS and HIV. No proven cases of AIDS or HIV being transmitted from giving somebody CPR. Of course, the Ebola crisis offered a whole new realm. Hospital facilities realized that they were not ready for something like that. Whenever it made it to Texas, they realized that they were not prepared for things like that in hospital even. And so it's always the bottom line. Make sure that whatever happened to them can't happen to you. If there's natural gas, fire, in hospital, out of hospital, you're going to assess the area around you and the patient. You want to get the defibrillated as fast as you can, and like Ryan was saying, get people there that can help you. And even if somebody's not trained, if I have to make a decision, if I'm doing CPR on somebody and if I have this strapping young man with me, who's going to be doing CPR? He is, right? Because he's going to be able to do it for longer. He's going to have better compressions, and that's about circulating the existing blood and oxygen that you already have so that you can keep somebody alive. So you don't necessarily have to put your mouth on their mouth. In 2005, the American Heart Association had a big campaign with bystander-only CPR, right? That there were two things that were with that people were forgetting. That if you see an adult, it had to be an adult, if you see an adult collapse, then you can just do compressions and get help on the way. But if it's finding somebody and you don't know how long they've been down, kids are involved, trauma is involved, then you're gonna have to give them, you're gonna have to breathe for them. And so with our AED, we always carry that personal protective equipment. You wanna talk about that?
So, I love talking about PPE, and that's what we call it, it's the acronym, Personal Protective Equipment. The biggest thing for me, if you can imagine, I went on 5 tours of duty. I'm a germaphobe. So I love personal protective equipment. It was difficult. One of my favorite stories come from Iraq.
You would go.
I know, and so but I love people and I love, life itself. And one of the things that whenever I came out of the cop world was getting back into teaching CPR and incorporating my life experiences along with that. It's just essential. I can't stress that it's so essential because you just never know. And the first time I never knew happened when it was a very, very young, 1.5-year-old boy. And that was one I will never forget. Unfortunately, I'm also on the boat where I've done it so many times that I've now lost count. So I stress it that I want you guys to really heavily consider taking a course, an actual certification course. And not only that, your family members. Just like she said, Jack's here, Jack's trained, and Jack's very well trained. When we do our demonstration, you're going to see. He is 15, he doesn't act 15, first off. And he is very, very smart when it comes to CPR and life-saving. And it's just essential for that family piece. But personal protective equipment, I mean, just as something as small as your glasses that you got on, you guys are lucky. I envy you. I don't actually need glasses, but I pretty much have sunglasses with me every step of the way. And, protect your eyes, okay? Gloves, you definitely, if you have the opportunity, you definitely want to glove up, okay? Because you're putting your hands in the unknown, okay? Because we just don't know what's out there. You don't want to start CPR in the wrong area where you just don't know if there's sharp objects, stuff like that. You don't want to get cut. Have, some type of protective equipment, okay? Some of the other things too is shoes. Remember, your feet are protection too. You want to make sure that you keep your feet protected. They don't really discuss this too much through the CPR process, but for you guys wear sandals, you wear heels. These things, just be cognizant of that because you never know what you're walking into as well. So when those situations arise. So these guys right here are phenomenal, by the way, and you guys can buy these at like Walgreens and different types of places that sell just medical goods. This is just a way of doing CPR, the way that I prefer to do CPR, and it'll allow me to a stranger actually give those effective breaths, and we want that oxygen entering into the heart to go ahead and help them with the blood pumping as well as the chest compressions. So
you go like this.
yeah.
Do it.
So this right here allows you to do that. One of the things that Tracy brought up was the vomit, and it does occur. I've had it twice, once while using this, and once while not using this. It is not the most enjoyable experience in the world, I will tell you right now. And it doesn't
Did you vomit?
necessarily taste like the
When they
lunch
vomit,
that they
did you vomit
had.
too?
I did not,
You
no. For some reason, I was able to continue.
That's
It
awesome.
was one of the worst for me, weirdest things. But, so yeah, these types of face shields, and they sell, ones you can just pop in the car. For organizations, I suggest adding them to the first aid kit, because again, you're more inclined to go ahead and help somebody with that oxygen
Well,
if you
and
have that protective barrier.
The keychains too.
Yeah, go for it.
And I carry all this stuff. People go, do people buy that and carry it? I do. Yes, I do. Because I'm never going to be in this situation where I go, oh, I wish I had a pair of gloves. No, I have gloves and I have the mask. So that's a pocket mask, and that one-way valve in there and that HEPA filter prevents you from getting whatever illness. It's both ways, right? That you're not giving them what you could possibly have. They're not giving you what they could potentially have. So if there's vomit involved, there's a higher potential for that. And so if you don't want to carry something like that, that's attached to our AED, our automated external defibrillator, so it's always ready. So if somebody comes to get this, then it's all together and we're ready to respond. There are gloves in here in this keychain, and then it's also a one-way valve. More than 10 seconds to respond, aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
They're about dead by
Is
now.
anybody tired?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I gotta work faster than that.
See it popped apart.
That's what we want to do, is we actually want to start CPR for the trained professionals and for citizens. We want to start CPR within 10 seconds, okay? That's how fast we want to go ahead. So we want to get on
I'm
scene.
ready.
We want to check that scene, we want to check that victim, and we want to get all this stuff done and then start doing those chest compressions within 10 seconds. 10 seconds is not a lot of time, folks.
And here's the thing is we would never want to be afraid, right? So that we know that it's better to start CPR on someone that doesn't need it than to delay treatment on someone that does. Your best case scenario in this, and I don't care medical or not, is that if you do a compression, if you push on their chest and if they wake up hollering at you, that is your best case scenario, right? Absolutely it is, and
Yes.
that we don't want to delay in that. So just like the pocket mask, this part goes in the victim's mouth, so if somebody was going to do breaths on me, this part goes in, and again, it keeps the vomit from coming back this way, and then that shield just to cover the entire nose and mouth area.
Nice.
Wow.
Never had those before.
Why do you still like carry those in your purse?
Yep,
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
I do.
Carry them everywhere.
I do.
Purse.
I have them in the purse, I have them in the car. We just looked at our first aid kit
Nice,
in the
small,
car.
You
convenient.
see how small it is? I mean, this has the gloves, this has the one way. I keep them in both cars. You can, like you said, you can keep them in your purse. For us who don't carry the purses,
Man purse.
they do, I thought about it, but no.
Backpack?
Keep them in the cars that you can drive on like that. So, as you can see, they're not big, okay? They don't take up a lot of room. But again, this is just that PPE, that personal protective equipment. And it's really essential, because if you have it, you're just going to feel a little more confident and comfortable doing something and assisting. I mean, it's just plain and simple, so.
Should we demonstrate? Do you want to get them?
Yeah, we're gonna get set up, we're gonna do a demonstration, and that's why I'm gonna pull in Jack, and I want you to guys see how a 15-year-old does CPR. Better than a lot of medical professionals, I'm not gonna lie. The kid's amazing.
I'll just have you.
As we get all set up, when it comes to CPR, there are certain things that you're gonna notice, okay? If you have to act on a child or an infant, it'll probably be one of the worst experiences of your life, just so you know, okay? So you just gotta really step up, kind of escape that reality, and just know that you're saving a life. The older the person gets, there are certain things that you're gonna feel, and I like to talk about this just because I don't want you to be scared just in the event that you do this. Ribs do crack, folks. Okay, you're not going to break somebody by cracking a rib. They're just going to be hurt. And they're gonna be hurting really
Bruised,
bad because
bruised.
a broken rib hurts. If anyone's ever had one,
Yeah, I got two.
they hurt. So whenever you are doing CPR and you're doing proper CPR, like I said, the older we get, the more frail our bones get. Guess what happens? So we do. The younger they are, at least for my experience, you won't feel any of that stuff. They're more rubberized. They kind of have more flex in those bones. But definitely understand that whenever you're doing something and you're following whatever it is, who do you call if you need help?
Jack.
911. Jack first. If Jack's not available, you call 911. Okay, that's right. Yeah, 911. Emergency. Yeah. But they're going to tell you exactly what to do. They're going to walk you through the steps. And if you have not been certified and you have not heard this story, okay, and you go to do that first chest compression or by the third one, and you feel and you hear, you got to keep going. Okay, you got to keep doing what you got to do to bring that person back to life. Okay, because it's about life, not about being in pain later.
An instructor last week shared with me, and I looked it up on YouTube, a 9-year-old in Arizona. Did you see it? He pulled his sister from the pool and saved her by doing CPR. Do you want to know where he learned CPR?
Where?
Black Hawk Down. The movie Black Hawk Down.
That's amazing.
And I went, do you know how many times I've seen Black Hawk Down? I've seen it
Focus
a
on
time or
that?
two. I don't, and so I said, was there CPR in there? So I guess we'll have to go home and watch Black
Yeah.
Hawk Down. It's in there. But
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That they emulate what they see. So, Jack, if you'll start, just
Sure,
like you would
calling
rather
the
the
game.
patient, calling for help. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually CAB now. So it was ABCs, and in 2010, that was one of the big changes. So
Yes.
it's compressions, airway, and breathing, so that circulation is the most important part. So that was one of the biggest changes in 2010, was that it's CAB instead of ABC.
Okay, quick run through in the beginning. Scene is safe. I don't see guns, knives. Not in the middle of a road or anything. Hey, are you okay? I'm gonna watch him for 10 seconds, at least 10 seconds. He's not breathing. I'm gonna begin chest compressions. Call 911. Get me an AED. 1, 2, 3.
So what Jack's doing is the CPR ventilation, so chest compression to ventilation ratio is 30-2. And you can hear him, he's actually counting. And the reason why he's counting is if I come on scene, all right, I'm the second responder, I came on scene, and I know he's counting, I've been certified, okay, he's at 28, I know at 30 he's going to stop, and I'm going to jump down, and I'm going to give the 2 breaths, okay? Because I've been certified, and we know that AHA keeps that steady, so that everybody who's certified, if I come on scene, he's counting, I'm going to wait and give him, all right, and then once he gets there. We also don't want to make this guy do chest compressions the entire time, do we? How hard is that?
It's very hard.
That's a workout, right?
Yeah, it's
So-
very difficult.
After 5 cycles, basically, we're going to make a switch. Or, once we get the AED on site, the AED is going to go ahead and tell us certain things. It's going to say, I'm going to allow Jack to...
Are you tired yet? I just wondered how long.
Yeah, that's good, Jack.
Go about an hour, yeah?
You're doing great.
So you can go ahead and get Jack. So, the second responder...
Yay, come on.
Yeah.
I don't think you made it.
It's not up and moving.
Go ahead, yeah, just talk about the AED.
Okay, so this is your AED. You can find these in hospitals, schools. I believe you guys.
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, Super Target.
We
Is there
found
one
out
here?
the one here
I
is
didn't know.
actually not in this building, so I want to talk to them about that.
That's terrible.
That is terrible. It's actually in that building over there, and I explained to them, I said, do you understand what it's like when something happens here? Go there, and this is kind of more on the organizational piece, okay? We're not talking just one-on-one, but you need to think about that for wherever you're at, okay? You don't want to have to send somebody over there, grab it, come over here. Also, their first aid kit is over there.
But I'm not so sure that doesn't increase liability.
Yeah,
Right, to go, okay,
true.
well, we had somebody die, there was, the
Nothing in the
organization,
building.
the organization has an AED as an agency, like
Right.
we own one, but we couldn't get to it, and then I would guess the administrative building locks, and this
Correct.
is where they have the classes, I
So
don't
they
know.
may not even have access to it.
Right, there's
And
lots to think about.
How
expensive are they?
They are expensive. She can tell you the better price range.
So this particular unit right here is about 1,400.
Oh.
But they started out a decade ago, they were 5,000. 5 years ago, they were 3,000, so they kind of seem to be cutting it in half. This is a Philips model. Philips, you know, they're in your TVs, they're the insides of a lot of things, but they were the pioneers on the defibrillators for sure. And so 1,400, the best layperson one on the market, our AED distributor, which I left a bunch of his pins up there, Life Med Safety takes care of us. You know, there are a lot of these companies that are kind of fly by night, to where you buy something from them and then there's no one to service it or get pads, or if there's a problem, or when we have a guideline update, like we will, to change or update them. But so the best one on the market, he calls it his church AED, because all you have to do is turn it on and put the pads on, and it will shock, because you don't even have to push the button to shock. That people don't want to be responsible, right? They want to help, but they don't want to be the actual person to push the button to administer the shock, even though this unit will not shock unless it's necessary. So if we took this apart right now and put it on Brian, for example, and had it analyzed, it would tell us shock not necessary. And that's why I mean, it's extraordinary, right? That it's not going to shock if it's not necessary, it's not going to hurt anybody. They're field tested on 3rd graders. And so, that's
Not
why
like they don't test them on.
No,
them.
yeah.
They test them.
Are you a 3rd grader?
Are you 8?
Come check.
They found those from the only
That's not
volunteers.
Go down to the lunchroom or?
No, they just want to be ready to respond to all the teachers and people in the
Is the
lunchroom, that's all.
AED in addition to the CPR, or are they two separate?
They are taught together. They are one and the same. You may not always have an AED on scene, so you may just have CPR. But an AED is essential for CPR. Because what you're doing, once somebody is unresponsive and that they have no heartbeat, and you're not getting it back through chest compressions or oxygen, it needs defibrillation. It needs that actual shock to get sent straight to the heart to say, hey, come on, start back up again.
And it
that's the purpose.
might depend on the injury, right? So if you're watching Chicago Fire and House and all those things, to where they go, oh, they're flatline, right? Everybody's seen that they're flatline, they're asystole, you shock them. Asystole is not a shockable rhythm. The only treatment, even in hospital, for asystole is CPR.
PR. Okay, it works.
Yep. And so and that's why they're taught together. They're with all the certifications, and it will walk you through every single step. We brought ours. We have trainers, but we brought the real one, just so you could see it. They're all a little bit different, but there's only one rule to using any AED, and that's that you have to turn it on. You turn it on, and it tells you step by step what to do. There are pictures on the pads. It will show you where to place them. It will tell you if a shock is necessary or not. I think we can turn this one.
Begin by removing all clothing from the patient's chest. Cut clothing if needed.
It shows you where to put each pad. Okay.